John Campbell, the Senate President Pro Tem. He has also, since day one of the session, made a commitment to clean water. This has been an issue he's been passionate about for years, so we're really excited to give him the opportunity to say a few words about what the Senate is planning for the year. Thank you.
Thanks. You don't need a microphone. She's not in. First of all, also, Lauren has been a great help to you all. I know she came on board, was it last year? 2 years ago, whatever. She's done a great job. She's one of the most well-respected individuals in the building. In fact, that's one of the great things I think that the conservation, the environmental groups have, is that some of all the lobbyists and advocates, they're very, very well-respected in this building. And they help us, guide us to kind of give us some ideas of where we should be going. Because unfortunately, we don't have the expertise as some of them do. I'm going to talk to you really frankly, because I know that you've already heard from the governor, you've heard from the speaker, and I'm sure they've given you their speech about how we all love the water and we all get behind it. I actually feel that, in fact, Lauren said you've been involved in this for a few years, and my first involvement came with water being a public trust, and we did some work back then. But I really believe that I have, if I've ever done a failure in this building, it's probably not being aware and not, I should be aware, but not really putting as much time into the problem we're talking about today. When I had an opportunity this past year to really sit down and find out how destructive the pollutants have been to not just the lake, everyone thinks it's the lake, but it's also the internal waterways. It really bothered me because I grew up in Florida, and when I was growing up, we had a thing called the Everglades, which barely exists now, at least in my home. I actually go out to my son's and my daughter's house, and they live what used to be probably 25 miles into the Everglades, where we would go on airboats and go out there and fish and do a few other things, and all legal things. But the situation is that I now see Vermont, beautiful, iconic Vermont, facing a tremendous tragedy. It's in the working. And if we don't jump, I think we're late. We're not too late, but we're late. So if we as a state, and I'm talking about us, the government, state government, don't get our house in order and get to the point where we stop fighting internally with one agency against another, or one committees against the other, or trying to pit other people in the communities and pushing blame on people, we're never going to get this thing solved. And that's one of the issues that people come to me and they'll start pointing out, well, a lot of it comes from agriculture, a lot of it then comes from the roads. And I'm sitting there going, let's stop pointing fingers and let's do something about it. And it's all of our problems. This is a Vermont problem. This is not just an agricultural problem. Sure that they added this to it, but also the feds. I mean, let's thank the feds for coming in and bringing, truckloads and trainloads of phosphorus into the state in the 30s. But anyway, it's a problem that all of us contribute to. So I think right now, let's stop the blame game and let's figure out how we're going to solve it. And as you know, the water bill that we have currently, I think it's really going in the right direction. I've talked with Chuck Ross, and I think that the Department of Agriculture is going in the right direction. I know that there's people from the sportsmen's groups that they are absolutely involved in this. James Ellers has been in my office a few times, and he is another person who sit down and listen, and he's really kind of brings it home when it comes down to the internal waterways that we have. And what I tell my people, and what I've told groups, anytime I can get anyone to listen, whether it be editorial boards or chambers of commerce, I did that too this last week, is try to explain to them that this is a situation that's not just Lake Champlain, it's not just the northwest section of the state. It goes on through every waterway we have, and that this is such a will have such a potential damaging effect on the economy of Vermont that every Vermonter should be worrying when they go to sleep at night, whether or not we are going to be able to get this thing solved. that even if we start today with all the what we're trying to plan, it's still going to be 20, 30 years before it's done. And that's what's the one part that's kind of, that I think is important that it's tie in with the financing package that I'm going to be supporting. But is the fact that this, again, is not just a problem that just the environmentalists should be concerned about or the sportsman is concerned about, but it should be something that every Vermonter is concerned about because it is the entire Vermont problem. So what, as you know, the biggest problem has been trying to figure out how we're going to finance all the program and the cleanup. And there are varying numbers that come up as to how much we will need per year. Right now, I'm looking at it as trying to get a sustainable fund of between $10 to $12 million a year, and one that I believe should not be managed, if you will, necessarily by state government. I want to make sure that that money is put aside and that whatever it goes to, it is going to be, there's going to be tremendous due diligence done, saying that the projects or the money wherever it's going to be spent is going to be spent in a wise way that actually will do some good for and advance the cleanup. The way that I'm, again, which I'm going to tell you my feeling, and I'll tell you why in a second, is to deal with a parcel fee. This way, every person in the state of Vermont who owns the land would actually be a part of it. And they not only own a part of the cleanup, but they realize it's an investment in the future. Now, the administration is not really keen on that, and I'll tell you why. It all comes back to the Chesapeake Bay. With the Chesapeake Bay, they were trying to do this, and they were going to do the same way with the partial fee. And the lieutenant governor who was supporting that, I guess he ran for governor, and he got trounced because his opposition said, oh, we're going to tax the rain now. So anything you get rain goes on your property, that means you're paying a fee. So I consider my mission for the next, whatever it takes, is to go around the state and talk with not only the towns, cities and towns, but also all the editorial boards, and every group that I can find to say that this is a way for us to invest in the future. And please do not refer to this or look at this as a property tax. Is it a something that's going to be tied to, yes, you own property? But I look at it as more, it's a fee, it's an investment. And so that part will be tough. And it's going to be tough going through the session, because I don't know if that's going to actually win the day. But the going in some of the other areas, and I don't know if the speakers mentioned it with the governor, but he's talked about rooms and meals and a few other odds and ends. And the problem with it, when you start in areas like that, then you have people who get people who also care about tourism, and that's people who own hotels and the restaurants. Now they're finding out that the rooms and meals tax is already 9%, but then now with many of the towns doing local option taxes with another penny on it, then it gets to the point where that's really killing, hurting them and their business. So I think it's better off if we make it a broad spectrum and you go to all the Vermonters. If we should be able to raise enough money to sustain it at $10, $12 million. There are other areas that we have as backups, but I do know one thing is that I've got a great team in the Senate and Bobby Starr in agriculture. Bobby is 100% bought into this. He's the one actually who's helping the most with assisting with the partial fee. And then Chris Bray, who was I named him this year to be chair of our agriculture committee, and finally found somebody who, the first question I asked was, do you believe in global warming? And most people, if you don't know, I had a chair last year who I didn't find out until the end of his time. He didn't take the band, I didn't do it. The fact that there was climate change. So, that was the first thing we checked on. But anyway, so I just want to let you know that I really do thank you, every one of you in this room, for the dedication that you are giving and that what you're doing to help us make our job easier on this. It's not going to be easy. So we are going to need you throughout I'd say the next few years to make sure that we get this thing done and get it down to to where we are just overseeing it and that Ginny Lyons is going to be here in a second too. Ginny has always been somebody who has been dedicated to the environment in Vermont here. And Ginny's been working very closely with me also and helping out. What I mentioned to you before about having a group that's not just the administration holding all this money and dealing with the money. Ginny has got one of the potential solutions there. And I'm assuming you're coming to talk, right? No? Whatever. No, I guess you are now. Anyway, so first of all, thank you very much. And if anybody, my doors are always open, especially on this topic. If you feel that there's some place that I can be out in the state that can help, all you got to do is call Erica, my chief of staff, and we will try to do everything we can to make that happen. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.